What's going on with you guys? The TheCaliEffect, king of games here. And today we're going to be going over an updated Salamangreat deck profile post the December 15th, 2020 Forbidden List. In my last video, I talked about some really good rogue decks this format. If you want to see the entire list, go ahead and click on that annotation, but I strongly feel that Salamangreat is one of the better rogue strategies, not because it's Salamangreat, it's because it's Salaman awesome. Seriously, I mean, you really thought we were going to go this whole intro without a pun? This current format is all about combo and control, and while Salamangreat definitely has the combo and control aspect down, it can take it a step further with one or two cards being full combo, as well as having the ability to play some really good Yu-Gi-Oh cards that can stop the opponent from what they're doing. So without further ado, let's jump on in and show you why Salamangreat is Salamangreat. There are no tigers in this deck, which is kind of disturbing. Alright guys, so before we get into this video, I have two simple announcements. Wait, well actually just one announcement, and the other one is something you should already be doing. The first thing is that I am streaming on Twitch right now. That's right, I'm streaming on Twitch right now. Go ahead and follow me on TheCaliEffect at twitch.tv. We're actually going to be looking through our collection, finding some really cool bulk cards, or some really cool cards in our bulk. Between the last two streams, I'm pretty confident we found over $400 worth of cards, so be sure to come kick it with TheCaliEffect, also with my boy Marcus, and be able to find some really cool cards with us. The next thing I want to mention is that if you guys have not followed me on Twitter just yet, you are missing out. There's two different types of CaliEffects. There's the professional YouTube CaliEffect, and then it's the other CaliEffect. For the people that want to be a part of the TOOSTRONK community, then you might want to try to add yourself to that Discord, read the rules to become a member, as well as follow us on Twitter. It's an interesting journey. So with all that being said, let's get into the Salamangreat deck profile and why we play certain cards for this December 15th, 2020 Forbidden List. Our starter cards consist of 3 copies of Lady Debug. This card is arguably the best Salamangreat starter card, mainly because it searches any of your Salamangreat cards, cough, Gazelle if you needed. But the problem with Lady Debug is that if Ghost Ogre becomes a prevalent card, this card isn't so great. And while I do think Ghost Ogre is a good card right now, players aren't playing it in droves, so I really would say be wary of playing Lady Debug. If you don't see it in your meta, you're perfectly fine, and if you do, consider dropping Lady Debug all in total. Now you can play cards like Formord Skipper or Cyburst Buffalo, however you say that card's name, but I would actually play more Salamangreat cards, mainly because I do play 2 copies of Salamangreat Foxy. I feel like this is probably one of the better start standards that is really underrated for this deck. The reason why I like Salamangreat Foxy so much is because I play 16 Salamangreat cards, so the odds of me being able to excavate 1 Salamangreat card off of this card's normal summon is insane, and we still are in a control format. So Salamangreat's Foxy second effect is summon itself to its side of the field does come up, and saying that I play 16 Salamangreat cards, not only can this card be an extender, it can summon itself to the side of the field and potentially destroy an opponent's spell or trap card. After that, we do finish with the normal starters that any Salamangreat deck player would play, or any Salamangreat player would play. 3 copies of Circle, or 1 copy of Circle, and 3 copies of Side Manning. I really wish we could play 3 Circle. Unfortunately, that's not the move. That's pretty much it for all of our starter cards. We do have some semi-starter cards that I actually like. One of them is 2 copies of Salamangreat Spinny. Now, Salamangreat Spinny is actually phenomenal. I don't know if people notice, but you can actually make a second summon Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf without using your 5th normal summon, and all you have to do is normal summon Spinny. On top of that, Spinny does work in perfect tandem with Salamangreat Foxy. Being able to discard a Spinny to your graveyard to summon Foxy, Spinny can then follow itself by coming back to the side of the field and then using both of those monsters for well, it used to be an Xyz summon, but a Link summon. 1 copy of the best monster in the deck, Salamangreat Gazelle, and 2 copies of Salamangreat Jaguar. This card is phenomenal as well. Following up, we'll go 1 copy of Foul, 1 copy of Falco, and 1 copy of Salamangreat Mole. Now, for the people that have been A1 since day one, has been subscribed to the TheCaliEffect, you know that I'm a huge fan of Salamangreat Mole. It is a pot of avarice, but more importantly, it's an extender that not a lot of people just seem to play. This card is a free summon to your side of the field. All you have to do is pretty much play Salamangreat. It would be kind of ignorant not to play this, especially since it is a pot of Avarice. It's literally a Pot of Avarice built in that's searchable and an extender. Moving forward, we do play 3 copies of Parallel Exceed, and that's gonna finish it up for the extender cards slash starter cards, because half of them are starters for this Salamangreat deck. Now, the reason why we play Parallel Exceed is because we don't like to be hand trapped. That's legitimately the reason why we play Parallel Exceed, and I'll explain a little bit later in the video. For the spell extender cards, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 copy of Salamangreat Sanctuary, only 1 copy of Will of the Salamangreat. This card actually made me cry. I wanted to play more copies, but it's already a 42 card deck. And then lastly is 3 copies of Pot of Desires. I feel that every Salamangreat deck should probably play Desires because it's just so free for this deck. Now, that is it for the extender cards. In this format, it's a little bit different for your hand traps. A lot of people like to play cards like, I don't know, Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, which isn't necessarily a great card this format, but this particular hand trap lineup is built to be some of the top decks. So Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is applicable to every top contending meta deck right now, and that's why Salamangreat is just so good. And the fact that this deck can actually recur Ash Blossom back into the hand, all you have to do is summon a monster to where Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf points to. This could be really clutch against some of those contending decks. Next, I decided to go with 3 copies of Skullmeister in the main board. This card is pretty godly against all of the top contending meta decks, which one of them don't activate card effects in the graveyard. The thing that I like about Skullmeister the most is that it isn't even once per turn, so that's why I decided to play 3 copies of that card. Ash Blossom was mandatory, Skullmeister is not once per turn, and lastly is 2 copies of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Ghost Bell is also a card that is really good against the top contending decks. And while we're actually here, I would strongly suggest that you guys buy super rare copies of Skullmeisters before they skyrocket in price, but I don't know, you ain't here for me though. Moving on forward, we play a ton of trap cards. I think one of the most underrated trap cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game right now is Solemn Strike. Since we are in an Exceed Synchro format, Solemn Strike can not only stop your opponent's important Exceeds or Synchros, it also can stop monster effects like, I don't know, hand traps. I opted with Solemn Strike over cards like Goes in Match because I wanted the versatility of not only being able to stop our opponent's important summon, I wanted to be able to stop our opponent's card effects that would potentially stop us from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Another card that we do play is 1 copy of Gravedigger's Trap Hole. I am a strong believer in this card, mainly because you can make trap tricks with Flay Shift, which are free Parallel Exceed, meaning that your opponent can't Nibiru you, or if they try to use a hand trap, well, Gravedigger's Trap Hole does exist. Moving forward, I do play 2 copies of Salamangreat Rage and 2 copies of Salamangreat Roar. Playing 2 copies of each means that I have over a 34% chance of opening at least one of them in my opening hand, meaning that if I have full combo, I can search the other, and I can really play some cool Yu-Gi-Oh! But that is it for the main board. Moving on to the extra deck, boy, there I have some cards that I want to talk about in here. I'm gonna kind of blaze through the cards that you normally play in Salamangreat. So just 1 copy of Access Code Talker, 2 copies of Salamangreat Heat Leo. I'm actually gonna put these to the side because you don't necessarily need to play these cards, but I'll explain it a little later. 1 copy of Transcode Talker, 1 copy of Update Jammer, 1 copy of Splash Mage, 3 copies of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, 3 copies of Salamangreat Balinx, 1 copy of Link Grebo. This card is amazing in a trap-based format. 1 copy of Baguska. This card is also amazing in an Exceed Synchro format. 1 copy of Trap Tricks for Flacia, and the card that I want to talk about, because this would be a 13 card extra deck if you decide not to play Salamangreat Heat Leo, is that I've been messing around with Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix. Now in a format where everybody wants to play a plethora of back row cards, Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix actually rids boards. I'm not 100% on playing Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix because obviously it does have its problems, but I'm strongly considering it. Salamangreat Heat Leo is not a card that you have to play, but it's actually pretty good for getting rid of back row, and that's why it's here. There have actually been times where I've dropped Salamangreat Heat Leo in Salamangreat builds and have not missed it. This is actually the card that I feel is like really flexible inside of this deck. But that's pretty much it for the extra deck, ladies and gentlemen. I have a quick side deck to show you. It's nothing really fancy. It's just 3 copies of Artifact Lancia, 3 copies of Nibiru, 3 copies of Drolden Lockbird. Pretty much what I'm saying is that I can just mix and match my hand traps depending on the matchup. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Cosmic Cyclones, and the card that I feel you probably could play over Solemn Strike if you want to be risky is 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. Now, as you guys know, Salamangreat is a Link deck. I do play 2 Exceeds, but my opponent probably is playing either Rituals, Synchros, or, you know, of course, Exceed monsters themselves, and Dimensional Barrier completely turns off their turn. This card is arguably a card that you could play in your main board, but unfortunately, I'm not playing in it just yet. I think you guys should dabble with it if you feel comfortable with not playing Solemn Strike. So now that we are done with the Salamangreat deck profile, I'm going to be showing you guys some really basic combos just in case you don't know how to play Salamangreat, or if you want some retouching on how powerful this deck can be. So let's jump on in. Alright guys, so the very first combo is going to require Lady Debug plus any extender. This can actually be done with Lady Debug plus any of your Salamangreat trap cards like Salamangreat Roar or Rage as well. But I decided to use Salamangreat Roar Mole because people are sleeping on this card, and I'll soon be able to show you how cool and good it is. First thing you're going to do is start off by normal summoning your Lady Debug, activating her effect. Add Salamangreat Gazelle to your side of the field and then link off Lady Debug. Salamangreat Baylinks will trigger its effect to be able to add Salamangreat Sanctuary from your deck to your hand. And because I link summon and have a link arrow open, I'll special summon Salamangreat Mole to my side of the field. Now Salamangreat Mole and Salamangreat Baylinks will be used for another link into Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, but more importantly, since a Salamangreat monster did leave my field, I'll be able to activate Salamangreat Gazelle's effect to special summon it to the side of the field. Now in this particular sequence, I'll be using Salamangreat Gazelle to be able to send Salamangreat Rage from your hand to graveyard or deck to graveyard. If you already have the Salamangreat Rage in your hand, then you might want to consider sending Salamangreat Roar, as these cards are hard once per turn. The next thing I'm going to do is turn my Salamangreat Gazelle into a Salamangreat Baylinks that will trigger the effect of Sunlight Wolf to add Gazelle back into my hand. Lastly, I will use Salamangreat Sanctuary to transform my Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf into another Sunlight Wolf and then trigger its effect that will allow me to add Salamangreat Rage to my hand. So in this particular combo with two cards, we got two cards back, two really powerful cards, a second summon Sunlight Wolf and a Salamangreat Baylinks, meaning that more often than not, our Salamangreat Rage effect will probably go off every single time. And to be honest with you, I probably should have Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf over here, so it'll be a really good follow-up. Watch how this works. Salamangreat Rage will be able to destroy two cards on the side of the field, but let's say our opponent is still able to rid our board. In this particular sequence, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 Salamangreat cards in the graveyard. I can actually banish Salamangreat Mole to shuffle all 5 of these cards back into my deck and draw 2 additional cards. This particular combo can be huge, especially if somebody went Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, meaning that the Salamangreat Sanctuary was in the graveyard, meaning that I get to keep cards like Salamangreat Rage in my graveyard. Also, it does give me 2 additional resources to handle a card like Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. Salamangreat is just too strong. Now, not every single hand is going to open Lady Debug, but a lot of hands are pretty manageable. Sometimes it's going to require your entirety of your hand working together in combination. That's how Salamangreats work. That's what makes them Salamangreat, or a Solomon cut above the rest. And in this particular situation, I'm going to be showing you guys why Salamangreat Spinny is just so great, but more importantly, while Parallel XC can help you play through cards like Nibiru. So in this particular sequence, I'm going to need another one of these cards like Salamangreat Roar or Rage. Pretty high that it'll happen, but let's just focus on this particular combo first. The first thing I'm going to do is normal summon Spinny. Spinny immediately off into a link for Salamangreat Baylinks. I'm going to trigger the effect of Baylinks and the effect of Parallel Exceed. Exceed summons itself, and I'll add Salamangreat Sanctuary to my hand, then its effect activates. I'll summon another Parallel Exceed to my side of the field. Keep in mind that this is my 4th summon. Now, normally my opponent would probably be licking their chops. They want to Nibiru me, especially against this deck, because the tokens are going to be so weak, but with my Parallel Exceeds, I'm actually going to go ahead and use them for a rank play. I'm going to turn my Parallel Exceeds into Trap Tricks Rafflesia for my 5th summon, and if my opponent does try to Nibiru me, I can activate Rafflesia's effect. Nibiru is a card effect that activates in hand, and so are all the virtual monsters, ironically. I can activate Gravedigger's Trapple in response to negate and banish that card, as well as inflict 2,000 damage to my opponent. This is also good again against Virtual World, mainly because all of the Virtual World cards activate, so Trap Tricks Rafflesia can negate a card like Mayhem Lulu, which is really important for the strategy, but this card can also negate graveyard effects like Eldritch the Golden Lord or Zodiac Ram to be able to use their effects. This card is just too strong. But following up, since I do control a Salamangreat monster, I'll special summon that Baylinks and then immediately use these 2 monsters for a link. We'll go into Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf and then activate Salamangreat Sanctuary. We'll morph Sunlight Wolf into another Sunlight Wolf. Now, of course, depending on my hand sequence, we would do things a little bit differently, but hypothetically, if we had Salamangreat Rage, Roar, or both of them in our hand, we still pretty much accomplish the same goal. We have a second summon Sunlight Wolf, so we'll be able to destroy 2 cards with Salamangreat Rage, and Salamangreat Roar would still get a negation, as well as Rafflesia being able to stop some of our opponent's critical effects. And now the last combo I'm going to show you is why Salamangreat is just so powerful. With these 2 cards, I'm going to show you how to put over 10,000 damage on the board. That's right. Normally, cards like Salamangreat Jaguar and Foxy just aren't amazing cards to have in your hand, but in this particular situation, it's too strong. I'm going to start off by normal summoning Salamangreat Foxy and not activating its effect. I'm going to immediately use it for a link summon. We're going to link summon into Salamangreat Banelinks and activate Banelinks' effect. We'll add Salamangreat Sanctuary and then activate it to our side of the field. Now, since there is a face-up spell card on the field, I can use Salamangreat Foxy's effect. We'll discard the Jaguar to be able to spell summon Foxy, and then next I'll use Salamangreat Sanctuary to second summon my Salamangreat Banelinks into another Banelinks. Now, the reason why I did that is because I actually need 2 monsters with levels. I can return this Salamangreat Banelinks to special summon my Salamangreat Jaguar, and now both Jaguar and Foxy for a link summon into Update Jammer, which requires level monsters, so I couldn't have used Banelinks. It's all cool though, because in this sequence we'll use the Update Jammer and the Salamangreat Banelinks into a link summon of Transcode Talker. Now we'll use the effect of Transcode Talker to special summon that Update Jammer, and now Update Jammer and Transcode Talker for a link into Access Code Talker. In this particular situation, Access Code Talker will be targeting our Transcode Talker, meaning that it is 5300 attack, but due to the effect of Update Jammer, this card can attack twice. So pretty much this is how it's gonna break down. Transcode Talker can use its effect up to 3 times just off of these 2 cards to destroy 3 cards on the side of the field. It's 5300 and it can attack twice, meaning that you can inflict 10,600 damage just off of 2 meager Salamangreat cards in your hand. Well, that's pretty much all that we have for today for Salamangreat. I really hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Of course, if you want to see more videos, more Twitter, more Twitch, then go ahead and follow me on those respective platforms. And also be sure to join the TOOSTRONK community is in our Discord. Just make sure you read the rules, because that just seems to be hard for people. Anyways, you probably should be checking out these other videos on my channel, and I'll be sure to catch you on the next one.